Just ring it in, the fresh air of spring. That great white space shark has miniatures that'll make you sing. Oh, just think of figures you will paint with a grin. Your gray pile of shame will grow to your loved one's chagrin.
Too sexy for my elder, love's going to leave me. I'm too sexy for my shark, too sexy for my shark, so sexy it hurts.
All right, guys, what's up? It's been a while since we've done one of these, so let me get my co-hosts and such in here. Give me 1 second to figure this out. All right, I got Minka is going to be the co-host. We got Golem is here. He's going to be one of our special guests. We got Foxy. Yeah, I got you.
Perfect. Okay. Am I coming through a little bit better than like the last spaces?
I think you're all right.
Good.
Oh my God, I was procrastinating on dinner, so we just now finished eating, but it was looking a little dicey there for a second.
What'd you have for dinner?
Man, I was cooking it up. We had some beef and broccoli. I had some tempura shrimp and some stir-fried greens. You know how we do it.
Ooh. We actually, me and my kid, we stopped for sushi on the way home. Because nothing says Easter like sushi.
It's true.
You're doing that in honor of all our new Japanese friends.
That's right.
Let's see.
Can you hear me okay, or am I muted?
No, we can hear you.
We got you.
Okay, great.
Let's see. Oh man, we got some people. We got Monkey. We got Brando, Big Skull, Benny, Taco.
Good lineup.
Huey,
They're still coming in.
Mad Minute 82 has got some banging Conflict 47 stuff. FYI. Green Friar, Hymns, Uncle Retard, who said he was done with Twitter, but I knew he'd be back.
They always come back.
Nobody's ever really done.
Because Goonies don't die.
Let's see. Okay, so I'm kicking one of my kids out of the house. I got the 2 little ones here, so if they make noise, you might hear them on the microphone, but that's all right. Ooh. All right. So anyway, I guess we're going to give people some time to come in, but I thought we could do a little small talk about what's going on the thing. You mean you're not going to eat all 10 of those tempura shrimp?
Me. I'm going to eat more.
Okay.
Okay. I got David in here.
Save them. All right. Cool. So I have typed up a little outline. It's not a hard outline, just to kind of keep things focused. But I mean, we're going to think new things are going to come up in discussion, and that's cool. But I just want to make sure we had a little structure for our first podcast with with proper guests and such. But anyway, let me see here. Okay, so today's episode. Oh man, that's so crazy talking like this. So today's episode, we're going to have. I guess first up is going to be Golem 40K. He's going to be sharing a bit about growing your social media. He's been very successful in recent months, especially on Instagram. He's kind of slamming it out of the park there, right?
Yeah, it's been great.
Now, why don't you tell us what kind of content do you specialize in?
So my content is basically short. Right now, it's short form tutorials that I'm tailoring specifically around going against the grain of what normal tutorials feel like. So if you go on Instagram or you go on like YouTube Shorts or TikTok and you look up like YouTube tutorials for Warhammer or miniature painting, typically you'll see somebody talking about something totally unrelated or like a tangential thing to the subject, and then just having the paint going in the background without actually teaching somebody something or the basics behind what they're doing. So I wanted to make something that was different from that. So, for example, like my three latest, or rather my two latest reels that have been doing extremely successful, the How to Paint Light, was specifically on teaching somebody how to not paint using like the colors, but using the technique of like, how am I figuring out where to put these highlights instead of just saying use blue and then the lighter blue and then the lightest blue to make something look like it's reflective. That's not super helpful.
Right.
So trying to find ways to communicate effectively is really the biggest thing. And it seems to be resonating with a lot of people. Also, I think probably the most successful or the most prolific comment that I typically get or see on like in private DMs and also comments on people on people talking about my videos and things like that is that the atmosphere of the video seems to be helpful for people, because I try to create an environment where everybody feels like they're there to learn and not to be competing with one another. Not that we don't like to be competitive, that's part of the fun, but the bigger thing is that essentially we're all bad painters at the beginning. And we all want to get better together. So that's why I try to create my content around that feeling, is that, hey, we're all starting out somewhere. Let's figure this out together and show me what you got, because it's going to look awesome in the end, no matter what.
Right. Well, I watch all your videos when you put them out, and I normally don't like short form videos, but I like how it's focused on one technique per video generally, and then it's funny too. So hold on one second. All right, can you quit bothering me? Bye. It's the 3-year-old. Oh my God, you've never seen a more boorish animal than this 3-year-old girl. All right. Okay, so anyway, yeah, like I was saying, I really like how the videos focus on one technique per video generally. The most recent one, the highlights of the light sources. That's something I've heard about. I always see people when I say, "Oh, how did you do your highlights?" And they'll talk about it. I took the photo and then I look at it, but you actually showed it in your video, which is very helpful. And then you're quite charming and funny, which is also refreshing. Okay, so it's
Thank
like
you.
it's a winning.
I brush my teeth.
Well, that makes one of us. But anyway, it's refreshing, and I can see why it's caught on, and the videos are doing real well on Instagram. So anyway, everybody should go check out Golem 40K's videos on Instagram. Anyway, they're very helpful, and I really like how they're in bite-sized chunks.
You also hit 5K like 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, it's been pretty sick. The swell has been crazy, and that is something that I will discuss also a little bit later on when we talk about like actually getting into the marketing of it, because there is a strategy behind that. And once I say it, it'll be pretty obvious like how that works. Things like top of funnel and leveraging specific instances within the video is super important, but we'll get to that a little bit later.
Okay, cool. All right, so next up, our second guest will be Gray Fox. That would be Josh Thomas 45 on Twitter. Where is Foxy?
He is. Hey Josh, do a little request to speak so I can grant that to you real quick.
I sent him an invite.
Yeah, he's listening right now. I see him right there.
He's trying to figure out the platform just like me. Okay, there he is.
I know it gets.
What's up, man? Are you calling us from a submarine?
No, not today. I hope not.
Okay. All right. So this is Gray Fox, also known as Foxy. He's a beast with an airbrush. He's a member of the Inner Circle Retards, and he is one of the best painters that we have in our Discord. And he is going to be talking a bit about commission painting with us today.
Yeah, and speaking of commissions, I dropped mine off this afternoon, and the client was really pleased, and I got a tip for the first time ever.
Nice.
I was like, he's like, what's the damage? And I was like, oh, it's like, $120. And he goes, I'm going to give you 150. And I was like, are you sure? And he's like, absolutely. And I was like, awesome. All right. And while I was at the shop, I lined up another one. So that's apparently going places.
It's not 300 corn berserkers, is it?
No, it's probably going to be like 25 or 30 gray knights. So easy work.
Right. And so what was the commission that you dropped off?
He wanted me to. He bought that new Knight Defender kit, and it's basically just a fancy Questoris, and he wanted it to be able to be all the variants in the box. So I was like, okay, yeah, sure. That's probably just some arm swaps. It was way more than some arm swaps. So what we got through it, figured out how to magnetize everything. So he has, save for the stubber on the chest up beside the head there, he can swap it to everything in the box, and the magnets were really good, almost too good because they would fly across my work desk while I was trying to get it together. But that went really well. And matter of fact, the hardest part was building it. After that, it only took me about 3 days to paint the whole thing. So went well.
I was following your progress. By the way, everybody should follow Josh Thomas 45.
Mm-hmm. That commission he's talking about, I just dropped in the comments if anybody wants to see that.
Very cool.
Right
That's
there.
why Minka's my top guy. Everybody says so. Anyway, Josh, he does when his Good Morning posts, he'll always do like a work in progress, like photos, so you can see what's going on. He had a hell of a time with the magnets on that thing. But all right, cool. And so our next guest would be Chaos Creations Miniatures. That would be David Stacy's 410. That's Davey. That's Davey.
Yeah, just go with Davey.
Davey. All right, Davey. Everybody's probably seen his stuff on the timeline. He's got one of the paint styles where you see it and you're like, that's a Davey model. And he also does commission painting.
Yes, I do. I'm actually working on one right now as we talk.
All right, and what you working on?
I'm still working on that Blade Guard Ancient. It's been a little bit busy for the Easter weekend right now, so I haven't had much time to be sitting at the desk. But I told my wife I was doing this tonight, so I told her that she has the kids and not to disturb me.
oh man, I wish I could do that. I'd probably get
it doesn't work. I say the words, and we'll see what happens.
Okay. All right. Well, very cool. Let's see. I think let's go ahead and get started then, because it's 6:11. I think most people have had enough time to get over here. Timo's here. What's up, man? I'm just looking to see who we got. All right. All right. Cool. Well, let's go ahead and get in the Golem segment. We said, he is celebrating a recent 1,000 subs over on YouTube, and he just passed 5K on Instagram. Why don't you start a bit about how you got into mini painting and content creation?
So that's actually a good story. I'll drop some lore about myself. So I've been in I would describe it as higher level marketing for almost my entire career. And frankly, I started this last June as a result of I was so sick of what I was doing at the company that I was at, that I needed to try something different. So it was born out of frustration in one instance. But I had always dabbled in mini painting since I was young. I never really had any deep pursuit into anything like that until I decided that I would try filming it, and it kind of kept me whatever the word is for it keeps you accountable when you're trying to do something. Like I say, I'm going to record myself doing this, and I'm going to have people watch me, even if it's just one person or something like that, so that I can commit to doing something and getting better at it, and then making progress from there. And it kind of blew up from there. But what I realized when I was beginning that process was that I really did not appreciate the content that was out there that was available for mini painting learners, especially beginners, with the exception of some people like the Duncan Rhodes, the classics, the Warhammer painting tutorials that they have online, which are always good. But everybody had a similar theme, is that it was either a poorly explained version of the technique, not actually explaining the technique, but showing the end result of it, or hiding it behind a paywall, which was the one that made me the most mad. The parts that it made it feel like it was a competition between the haves and have-nots, and that inspired me to kind of make the channel that I have now. And I've committed to it a couple times on video, and I've said it in streams, but I will never ever hide any tutorial techniques or any painting knowledge behind a paywall. I will always put it out for free forever. And if there's anything that you want to know, you are always welcome to ask me on stream or in a comment, and I will do my best to answer it without saying go to my Patreon and pay me $5.99 a month to find out. And I think that a lot of people are really appreciative of that specifically. And that's where I built the brand from the beginning, is that I want this to be a space where people who don't necessarily have the means to learn in the way that some other people might, especially if they have to purchase things like $500 airbrushes, tutorials, desk pieces, specific equipment like heavy duty lighting and things like that. You don't need any of that to be good. You just need to have someone explaining it to you properly. And I also want to say in a way that's more gentle than some, because some people are pretty high ego people in this community. I don't know if anyone else has experienced that, especially going into like a LGS and for your first time. It's intimidating if you're coming in with some minis and you're worried about like, what are people going to say? I've seen all these different things online, and somebody comes up and says like, oh, I would have, instead of saying those look great or let's have a fun game, to say, oh, I would have done this to that mini instead, or I would have, you should try this, or you blah, blah, blah. It's not a constructive atmosphere, and it creates a lot of fear-based and anxiety-based community pockets, and that's not something that I like, and that's something I wanted to have a solution for. So from there, that's where you build the personal image. So if you go on any of my videos, I always start the video with two things. I announce what the purpose of the video is within the first couple of seconds. It says learn to paint with the big booms in the first 3 seconds. So I'm telling you, this is what we're going to do. And in the imagery behind it, I show step 1, step 2, or beginning step, mid step, and then the final result. So you can understand what you should have, or what we aim to have together by the end of the video. And then I go into a 15 to 30 second little let's cool it down from here. This is not a study session. This is we're learning together, and I try to make a joke. I try to display a little bit of humanity at the beginning of the video to show the person or whoever's watching that, hey, I'm a person too. I realize you're here for assistance with this thing, and let's not take it too seriously. let's realize what we're doing is something that's supposed to be fun.
Hey, like right quick, I just wanted to go back to what you said before. You said that there's a lot of painters who are very skilled, but they have an ego, and that's something that I noticed in my first couple weeks. I started out on the Twitter community, but anyway, some people, they're not very forgiving of newbies. You see paint shaming a lot more often than you would think you would. I thought art people were supposed to be chill, but it's not like that. There is an ego problem. And, I will say Golem is one of the most talented painters I know, but he has always been real chill. He's always answered my questions. He is very prompt. I'm just last week, I sent him a question. I was like, hey, Golem. And I think I said, oi, mate. I said, oi, mate. And he didn't answer me for like 5 seconds. And I said, I'm going to kill myself if you don't answer me. And boom, he was right there. So, yeah, Golem is a good dude.
Manipulation. Perfect.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. So, and then another thing is paywalling. Tutorials. Like, hey, no, I'm not going to judge somebody for trying to secure that bag, but if are you trying to make bank or are you trying to build a community? And it's clear to me that you're trying to build a community.
That's 110% correct, because there is a distinction between the two. And I also agree with exactly what you said. There is absolutely nothing wrong with charging for a skill that you have. Like if you're a painter, and like we were talking about commissions today, and you do something extremely well, you should charge for it, and you should be paid adequately for the hours that you put in and the skill that you learned. But the difference that I'm seeing here is that we're talking about catering to introductory level techniques versus advanced hands-on working with somebody. So like if I were to go to your house and say we're going to spend the next 3 hours together learning how to paint this shoulder pad in exactly this way, I would charge you for that and nobody would blame me. But what I'm seeing instead is here's a 5-second clip of what you could make. I am the only expert and everybody else sucks. And the way you're going to get there is by paying me a monthly fee forever to learn these things. And this is a children's game. This is not a situation where we need to be asking 11-year-olds to ask their parents for their credit card to have a Patreon subscription, which if your kid comes up to you and asks you like, hey, I want to subscribe to such and so's Patreon, and they're like, what are you talking about?
Right.
That's an incredibly not only awkward for the child situation for like, I want to learn how to do this thing, but as a parent, you're probably like, well, wait a minute, you want to learn how to paint? That's great, but let's do it in a way that's actually effective, because I bet you don't think that that's an effective way for someone to learn.
Bro, Bob Ross videos are free,
Bob Ross videos are free. Exactly.
Dad, I need your credit card so I can subscribe to Butt Fart Paint Studios so I can
Exactly.
order $300 of oil paints.
Yes, and then
My
that's the other thing, is that it will be a paywall plus buy my product. Usually, it comes in twos typically. That's totally different than what Gray Fox and Chaos Creation are doing with their awesome commission paintings, where they say, I will paint this in a beautiful way to your specifications, and you'll be extremely happy with it. I'm going to use my skill to make you happy, versus I'm going to exploit your lack of skill to potentially milk you out of several, out of your hard-earned dollars, child painter, that kind of
Well,
thing.
I've
So
already warned Davey, if he ever comes south of the border, I'm going to lure him to my domicile where I will imprison him and make him paint my backlog. And he can't leave until it's all done.
It's not a basement, Davey.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shed with no air conditioning.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Yep. But
my favorite thing that you've built with your platform is that you are catering to the average person within that community. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, because we all know that I don't many yet, but
You are many.
I am many.
Well,
Thank you. But you're talking about the elites, and
yes.
I really do think that there are some big dog wealthy people within that community, but that's such a small percentage compared to the average person within this community.
Absolutely. And that's also the next part of it, is that a lot of the tutorials you see are hyper advanced. Like I'm not going to call out this person because they're Flameon Miniatures. Everybody probably knows them, or at least has heard of them. They are so good, excellent blending, amazing, features and showscapes of their miniature painting, and they have tutorials. But imagine if you're a 15-year-old and you're just getting into it and you see that and you're like, I don't even know how they're doing it. How the hell is that happening? You feel so self-conscious and you think everybody is painting that way, and you never make it into the game store because you haven't been able to paint to that level yet. That's insane that that's something that even would cross their mind. And
Funny that is, every time I go to the game store, it's like I'd say probably 80% of the stuff on the tables is unpainted, which I think is relatable.
Absolutely, because who has time? That's the other part of it. Who has time for something like that? So that's exactly That's all of that is exactly right. I want to make a easy to follow, friendly atmosphere for beginners and intermediates, not necessarily advanced. If we want to get advanced, we sure can, but a space where everybody feels like we can learn together without having to worry about being shamed for our skill level and where we are in whatever stage of the painting journey that we're at. And I think that shows through in the videos with the formula that I've come up with. And by the way, that formula had to get learned because my first couple of videos that I ever put out were just kind of similar. It was like no speaking, just me painting something from beginning to end in a sped up fashion with some generic music behind it. And so in the text at the beginning said how to paint this, and at the end it just said thank you, which can be helpful for somebody, but it's not necessarily the best way to get your message across and what you're trying to do. So the formula is, what are we here to do? Learn to paint. What is the thing that we're actually painting with the imagery? Turn the temperature down with a joke or an anecdote, or just talking to the person that we're like, I'm talking to you. I'm not talking to ether. I'm talking to you is what I'm trying to, when I'm looking at the camera and doing the intro part, I'm thinking that there's a person in front of me, or at least I'm trying to. And I wanted to make it as comfortable as possible, and then we can get into what we're talking about. And I try to narrate the actual process as clearly and as articulately as I can, so that somebody can understand it without necessarily having the background to understand it. So that's where my formula comes in. And I back that up with the things like the further brand imagery, like the Bad Painter Club. I made that name up very specifically. I know that some people like it because it's similar to kind of like the Antisocial Social Club logo, but I specifically made that with the intention to piggyback on the messaging that I'm having in the video, which is that we all, no matter what, everybody started as a bad painter. There were no amazing painters at the beginning, and guess what? That status doesn't change. Meaning that, like, you can become a good painter, but you were bad at the beginning, just like everybody else was. And because we all share that common entry space, we can all remember what it was like. And don't forget, especially when you have the urge to shame somebody for their current skill level, or go to someone and say, oh, I really would have done this. That doesn't look good. I can't believe when that happens, because, hey man, you have the same membership card I do. Don't you? And the answer is yes. You may be hiding it, but you were there too. So that's the idea behind that whole thing. So everything kind of ties back into that messaging.
Well, I just wanted to add this. So I started streaming again, and I was just doing little clips of my streams and stuff. And you got a shout out, by the way. But so my wife was like, oh, so are you trying to do what that Golem guy does? I was like, oh, I can't do what he does. I said, look at him. He's got his style down. He's got his delivery is on point. I was like, I can't do that. So I'm just going to do, my own thing, which is sloppy, uncut, improperly edited videos. Which kind of brings me into the next thing I want to ask you. So what's the video production process like? Like, what software do you use for your videos?
Yeah. So I use Premiere Pro, but you do not need to use that. The first videos that I made, and actually the first How to Paint Light video was made with the free version of DaVinci Resolve. So there's free programs that you can use that'll do exactly the same thing that I'm doing. It's not any different. I happen to have access to Premiere Pro through my own means, and that's something that I typically use. But what I would say is, if you're worried about the editing software, you're worrying about the wrong thing, in my opinion, because you can make a good. Some of the top level creators are making it from their phones. What I would say is, if you're thinking about the production of the actual video and what you're trying to get what message you're trying to get across, tell me about your timing and your cuts, and specifically the type of audience that you're seeking to get. Like, for example, the reels that I'm putting out are 2 minutes and under. And the attention, and this is something that I know from my personal knowledge of marketing, is that if you don't have a new message or a new thing to say within 3 to 5 seconds, you're going to lose that person.
Yeah, those first 10 seconds are the most important.
Yes, exactly. There's so much into the delivery system of these short form videos that you have to know to be able to edit properly. So that again also pulls into that formula that I was talking about earlier. The first 3 seconds, what are we doing? How are we doing it? And let's establish the attitude for what we're doing. The fast talking is a current trend, meaning that like I don't know if everyone probably notices there's not very many breaths in between my sentences, and that's because I edit them out. And it's not because I don't have enough time; it's because that's actually a style, and that's something that some people do it, some people don't. But for my specific purposes, it's helpful because attention spans are a little bit lower, especially on the short form tutorials. On long form videos, which are going to be coming out soon, that won't necessarily be the case. But it depends on the messaging that you're going for.
Right. So every second counts when your attention span can be measured in nanoseconds.
It's literally 3 seconds.
Yeah, when you're posting on these videos where the swipe is so easy to keep going.
Yep.
What's going to get their attention to make them, oh, this is kind of cool. Let me go to that profile.
A loud bang before the first second ends. Literally.
Oh yeah, I do that. Boom. Okay, it's very iconic. Anyway, maybe Minka can grab an example from YouTube or Instagram and drop in the comments.
I did post the Instagram link in the comments for anybody that wants to see more of his work. That link is in those comments right now.
Boom. See, that's why Minka's my top guy. Everybody says so. All right. Well, why don't you tell us more about the Bad Painters Club? Let's say somebody wanted to join an official Bad Painters organization.
So yeah, you can visit the link in my bio. It's our Discord server, very closely tied with the Shark Legion, of course. We've got a lot of crossover in there, but I think that the main thing that we're going for at the Bad Painters Club is remember. If you want to be part of the Bad Painters Club, just remember that everybody is at the same time. And what I mean by that is you're gonna get good eventually if you just keep doing this thing, but don't forget where you were. and always think about that and the feelings that you had when you were painting your first thing and you were self-conscious about showing somebody, and how the person that is going to show this to you in the Discord server, how they must feel about posting that picture for the first time. That's really scary. And I really hope that the people who post there are doing it because they feel like they're either going to get great feedback, and what I mean is like helpful feedback, but also be surrounded by people who are like, man, I'm so excited for you to be going on this journey with the rest of us. I'm happy for you to be here. That kind of attitude.
Well, like you said, there's a lot of crossover, but there's do I have an echo?
There is an echo.
Okay, hold on one second. Okay, how about now?
No echo. You're good.
Okay, all right. My kid yanked on my headphones. Anyway, so we were talking about the crossover. Going forward this year, I was trying to think of some fun community events, and every 3 months we do a Discord painting contest. I had floated the idea of doing like an inter-server contest. So that's something we might float because last time we had the Sharkling tier only had one submission, so that guy, bless his heart, he won by default. So if you have some beginners, you send them my way, and we can do a inter-server painting contest.
He won by default, but what he put out really wasn't bad.
No,
I think it was still pretty
there
good.
was some
No, that was great.
yeah, there was good improvement from his previous entry. So I think that was it Chud
It
Chudwaker?
was Chud. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So yeah, good for him. But yeah, so you also had merch drop for Bad Painters Club, didn't you?
Well, soon.
It's
Soon.
almost done, and the reason it's soon is because I'm waiting for my my sample to arrive so that I can make sure it actually looks good before I put anything up. Because I will say this too, the the Bad Painters Club merch, I will tell you exactly to the cent how much I make per item, because I'm not doing it to make money off of you. I'm doing it to establish a community, and I've priced it in the way that is affordable to me, and so it's accessible to everybody. But I wanted to make sure that the quality was up to snuff before I said go buy these shirts or go buy this whatever. So don't. I wouldn't put. I'm never going to put something out or advertise something that I don't actually. I haven't actually felt, or I don't believe in, or I don't have any stake in, anything like that. So it when it does come out, I promise it's going to be good, but look forward to that pretty soon.
I've seen the photos of the merch and they look good. So hopefully they look how they look in the photo. I do like that you have, or you're planning to have, a variety of price points as well, from like a nice looking sweatshirt or hoodie all the way down to a sticker. I like that you covered all the bases there.
I tried.
Based. All my homies buy their own merch. Stickers do real well, by the way. You know, somebody might not have $20 to throw at a shirt, but hey, you know, $3 for a sticker. You know, throw it on my painting mat. But yeah, very cool. I'll be watching that. I'll be waiting for you. I'll be waiting for it to open up for general pop. And last thing I had to talk to you about was tips for landing affiliates and partnerships. I know you've gotten was it the Golden Maple? You got Schwartzreiter.
Yeah, we've gotten quite a. I've actually gotten quite a few, and I do want to. And this is something that I want to emphasize to anybody who's starting to grow or looking to grow, is that email is extremely powerful, and I'm not saying that flippantly. I've been again. I'll just say it. You know, again, I've been in marketing for many, many years. These people are people and not robots. There's somebody who's going to read it at the other end, and don't be intimidated from sending an introduction to yourself. And the thing that you want to make sure of is that it's not overly complicated. In fact, I'll just recite to you exactly something that I said to, for example, Artist Opus, who is going to be one of our latest sponsors. So thank you, Artist Opus, for if no, I don't think they're listening. But the exact email that I sent to them was, "Hey, Artist Opus team, my name is X," and I put my actual name because I'm introducing myself as the sole proprietor of the business person. I'm a miniature painting creator, and my average reel interaction is this, and I give some stats. I'm extremely interested in featuring your products in an upcoming tutorial or review style reel. I'm wondering if you guys are open to something like that, or if we could discuss a future collaboration. Thank you very much. And then my name, and then my Instagram handle. That's it. And I've gotten all of the sponsorships that I currently have from that email. So it's not anything that's overly complicated, anything intimidating. Don't be afraid to reach out to these people, because I think this is something that my grandpa used to say this. The worst they can say is no. And you probably already heard that. And that no is usually a no for now, especially when it comes to these businesses. Sometimes they'll come back and say, hey, you know what? You're growing. When you reach this, give us another shout. And I've gotten those emails too. Don't be discouraged by that,
Right.
because the fact that you're even doing it is a testament to your ability and courage to keep moving forward. So just know that about that whole process. The people who are, if you see people who are like getting sponsorships, typically they reached out to them. In my experience as a marketing person in my careers, it was extremely rare
that I ever went headhunting purposefully to find somebody to work with without them reaching out first or having some sort of connection. So if you think that your job is to just sit and kind of twiddle your thumbs and wait for somebody to call you, they're typically not. Mostly because there's so much competition out there. Be the one to be proactively reaching out, because that's how you're going to get those opportunities.
This is right. Schwartzreiter. Oh my gosh, hold on. My thing is messed up. How are we looking?
Better.
Okay, I'm telling you, man, my kids just be yanking all my stuff. Schwartzreiter Mini Forge, they're our 3D print shop sponsor. I get most of my stuff done through him. He actually approached me in my replies one day. That was very cool. And I thought that for the longest time, I thought that's how you got sponsors. They approached you. And so actually I see Royal Guard Red is actually listening right now. He actually introduced me to Ikarus Project, and so they were actually one of the advertisers in White Shark, and we actually also talking about doing some derpy shark dice. So we're trying to get the design down because it has to shrink down and still look legible on dice. But I compared notes with Golem. Earlier in the week, and we got some pending affiliate deals we're working out. This is actually, I'm kind of proud of this. I don't think anything's going to come of this, but I'm actually talking to GameStop of all people. You guys know how I feel about GameStop, about them supplying models for me to paint and then donate to their the local store they have in my town, because we're trying to get a game shop going in there. And they have space in there and they have material, but they don't have models for people to just show up and play with. So I said, hey man, if you guys buy the models, I'll paint them and document it and then donate them to the store. So it's win-win-win. And who else? And then we're also working on a paint shop affiliate, and I got these tips from Golem. So I hope everybody was paying attention to what he said. And if you have any questions about getting affiliate partnerships, things like that, be sure to send them a message. And
Seriously,
The
send
big
me
takeaway
just
there was the big takeaway there was you are telling them the time, not the make of the watch. Short, sweet. This is who I am. This is what I do. Get back to me.
you're echoing. Fix it. Oh, and what else was I going to say? Oh, and then especially if you're trying to build a community, offering people value to stick around. For like, hey, you're in my community. For all my friends, I have this referral link. That's you get 10-15% off on these brushes from Golden Maple. I'm too dumb to take care of nice brushes, which is why I use Temu brushes. But that's good for them. Same thing. Just as another example, with our print shop partner. He sponsors our our painting contest, and so winners get store credit to his website. So your partnerships can definitely help build your community and keep people around. So once you get to a certain size or certain notoriety, that's definitely something that everybody needs to take a look at.
Oh, by the way, speaking, just the last thing, because I don't want to monopolize the talk, but that the first sponsorship, Gold Maple, came when I was at 1,800 followers. So don't think that your size necessarily is the size is relative to your engagement. So if you make good content, but you're not huge yet, leverage your engagement too. And if you need help understanding what the difference between those things are, please feel free to reach out to me. Join the Bad Painters Club, and my DMs are always open. Not everyone is trained to understand the mathematics behind that stuff, and it can be intimidating, it can be difficult. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.
All right, gotcha. I appreciate you going, man. You always got good info and good energy, and just thankful to have you around, man.
I'm thankful for you guys.
I was going to talk a little bit about algorithm and the platform, especially on X, but I'll save that for the end. so that Foxy and Davey got time. Any questions for Davey in the comments? I don't see any. We can always answer. Okay.
I'm checking it from time to time too. So as they come up, I'll jump in with a question that I'm reading too.
All right. Next up is Foxy.
Hey, everybody.
Hi.
So it looks like I got several points to talk to here. So the first one is, how did I get started doing all this? Back in 2020, I was painting miniatures for D&D groups. That was pretty fun. And I saw Warhammer miniatures, and I was like, these are awesome, and they're bigger, and I think that would be a little easier to paint. So I should get a hold of some of those, and never did it. I was working a job that I hated, and coworkers' sister's boyfriend had ordered the Indomitus launch box and never picked it up. And so it just sat on his mom's porch for 6 months. He comes up to me at work one day and says, "Hey, you interested in this?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And so I got the whole launch box, which was at that time sold out for $100. And I just started working my way through the box and thought, this is pretty awesome. Picked a few models I was really interested in, and started painting them. They were, as Golem said, when you all start out, they're bad. And mine were pretty bad. I had watched a lot of tutorials, so I knew things about like thinning paint and things like that, which helped a lot. But I just, as I went through that box, my skill increased and it got better and better. And then I started acquiring my own stuff, looking up new techniques, and just every time I painted, I made it a goal to, okay, let's see if we can get these blends smoother. Let's see if, I can get this to look a little bit more like the box art, which was, I know, foolish now, because the GW's box arts are lies. They are photoshopped. They are cleaned up. They are lit in a really professional way, and also the
True.
Yep. And the colors they also tell you to paint with are a lie as well. So it's all stuff you got to kind of figure out on your own on your journey. And
I'm gonna need you to be posting photos of these first minis.
Well, I did post one the other day that comparison, the one that's like 2020 versus 2024.
Oh yeah.
That lieutenant is actually the first model I ripped out of the Indomitus box to paint. And then I rebought it 4 years later because I wanted to test myself and see where I was at skill wise. Like, have I gotten any better, or do I need to like actually lock in a little bit here and like try to like push myself a little bit further in my hobby? And I was pretty pleased with it. It definitely showed some improvement. I saw all kinds of areas at that point where I was like, okay, I need to improve here or there. I'm very self-critical when it comes to, like, when I dropped my commission off today, the guy was over the moon about it. All I could see was the mistakes I made on it. And I was sitting there just going, don't see that. Please don't see that. Please don't see that. He didn't notice though. He loved it. So that made me happy. But from there, like, I got to a point where I was in my own small circle. I was more ahead in painting than anyone else I knew. And everyone started being like, "Hey, will you paint this for me? Will you paint this for me?" I was like, "Yeah, sure. Awesome. Yes, hand it over." And because I just like painting. And finally someone was like, "You should really charge for this." And I was like, I don't know, because I've seen on eBay, on Etsy, I've seen the commission prices these guys charge. And I'm just like, who in Western Pennsylvania, in my poor, broke ass area, is going to pay me $300 to paint a miniature? Nobody. So I was like, we'll hold off on that. Then a couple more years roll by. Family friend opened an LGS in Johnstown, PA. Says, I need a bunch of miniatures painted. Will you help me out? I go, yeah, sure. And that's where commission painting like really started for me. I like kind of took off. I did, which some of you follow me might have seen me painting the entire Scaventide box. That was part of it. Several of those combat patrols I did, that was part of it. The latest Gaz Cruel, the Raven Wing Bikers, all that stuff went to that LGS. Which will kind of bring me into my next point, which is, and kind of circling back to like the price thing. If you're going to do commission painting, don't be afraid to charge for where your skill level's at. you might look at yourself and go like, who's going to pay that? But if you're doing the work, people will pay for it. And B, before you set up a commission or agree to do commissions, hammer out all that money stuff right away before they even hand you the model. And I say that because all that stuff I painted for that LGS, I never saw a single cent from it, not a single dime. Because the way he set it up was, hey, if it sells, then I'll charge the guy for the model plus your commission fee, and then I'll mail you them, or I'll get you the money. And I never saw a cent from it. So,
And I would
the
just add,
wise.
make sure you get that in writing too.
Yeah, if you have to. If it seems really sketchy, like type up something and have them agree to it. But if it's getting to that point, you maybe shouldn't accept that commission whatsoever. If you have to go that far with it, unless you're running like a professional service or something like Davey does. I'm sure he's got like invoices or whatnot when he agrees to work with some bigger projects.
Safety deposits and whatnot.
Yeah, or get like half up front, that kind of thing. So, but and nowadays I take them as they come. Like, if someone's interested, I talk with them. We talk through what they want done. I give them a rough timetable, and then as I do it, I'm always sending work in progress shots to them to let them know, hey, this is getting worked on. This isn't just sitting on my desk. It's not just out in ether somewhere, and you're wondering where's that project at? What's the status on it? So just like good communication with your client while you're doing it. Yeah, and that's pretty much where I'm at with commission stuff. I still do freebies. Like right now, I'm putting together a whole squad of 3D printed boys for my friend for his birthday. I calling these the birthday boys, and because that's the thing we do every year. We exchange Warhammer models for birthdays. So he's getting some cool looking orcs this year.
There is a question in the comments from Arthur Burke asking if TikTok is a good place to build a community for a tabletop role-playing game launch.
Ooh. That would be maybe a golden question.
Yeah, actually, so that's a that is a question because the four different platforms have completely different algorithms and different ways that you not necessarily ways that you get big on them, but they take off in different ways. So TikTok is good for virality. Never ever post anything that's longer than like a minute 30 at most. If you're looking to use that as a top of funnel thing, I recommend probably either YouTube Shorts or Instagram instead. If you're trying to build a top of funnel to filter into, you said if it's a tabletop community. I'd want to know more about like what it is you're trying to send them to. Are you sending them to a website, sending them to your store, sending them to your YouTube channel? It depends on the source that they're going to, because TikTok isn't where they're going to live.
Right.
It's the doorway for them. So it just depends on where you're sending them to. So yeah, that would be my answer. Is if the purpose is to move them into a different space, great choice. Because TikTok has a very aggressive algorithm in pushing people towards your content if it takes off early enough. But it doesn't last for very long, meaning that like if you have a clip that goes pretty viral, meaning that like it gets up somewhere, not pretty viral, but somewhere between 10 and 20K, the viewership will dip off quickly. Where in juxtaposition, YouTube, for example, might start off a little bit slower, but it ramps up over several days and has a longer period of virality versus other platforms. So it just depends on what you're looking for.
And you can also look into some cross-platform play too. If reels are really what you're wanting to look at, I would honestly not go with just TikTok.
Yes,
I would branch off on all of them.
Do all three because you're going to. It's going to be the same. It's going to be the same video either way. Although one thing I would say is if you're going to do the subtitles, use the TikTok format subtitles only because they're pretty clear, but also because it's currently the most popular. That will change, but it's currently the most popular.
There's a bit about like the X algorithm, but I'll get to that towards the end. I wanted to ask Foxy how he determines his pricing, like for him personally. So is it by the project, or do you like estimate how many hours you're going to spend on something and then get the price?
So that's determined by project. I don't do hourly because a lot of times I will paint obsessively. to the point where I will lose myself in the studio for like half a day and don't realize it. So, and if I charged by the hour, my prices would be astronomical. So it's typically by the project. I look at it, I'm like, okay, what do you want done? How much of a hassle is this going to be? Like, a lot of times, if I know it's going to be an easy project for me, even if I know it's going to look stellar at the end, I have a hard time charging a high price for it because A, I'm going to have a lot of fun, and B, it's only going to take me like 2 or 3 days. So definitely buy the project, and also like, just what specifications I'm working with. Like if you want like a whole thing in non-metallic metal, like the price is going to go up for sure.
Okay. And you don't have like an official site or anything. It's just if somebody, let's say one of the homies wanted to contact you about commissions, they would just shoot you a message on here, right?
Yeah, they could on X, on Discord. My DMs are open, so you can just shoot me a message and be like, "Hey, like, say more than just hi," because I get a lot of bots. So,
You heard them, boys. The DMs are open. Send them feet pics.
No, put them dogs away.
I did link your Instagram profile. Your Instagram profile is in the comments too. So if anybody wants to see more of your work and have another way to contact you, that is in the comments.
All righty. Very cool. Does anybody have any questions for Foxy? We'll come back to questions if people are running late. All right. Cool. Well, if nobody's got a question for Foxy, it's Davey's turn. Where's Davey? There he is.
Hola, amigos.
What's up? All right, so everybody should know Davey by now. He is he's done some avatars for some of the Inner Circle retards. Are the Silly Shark and Bear. He's done a bunch of them. He's got one of his own as his profile picture, and he has also done the cover art for the summer edition of White Shark. We dropped a teaser for it over on White Shark Mag. I kind of want to keep it for a surprise till we get closer to release. But he does 2D art and model painting, so he's kind of my top guy. Everybody says so.
So yeah, I have a background in illustration and design from my college years. Spent a lot of time painting and drawing, so that transfer from a 2D digital space or even like on a canvas to painting miniatures is pretty seamless when it comes to things like the techniques. A lot of the techniques are the same.
All right. Let's see. Tell us about your social media.
About my social media, okay. So I mean, I started mini painting in like 2018, and it was awful. It was really bad, and I had no idea that miniature painting like tutorials was a thing. I still remember like the moment I realized what dry brushing was when I discovered it on my own, thinking, "Oh my God, this is game changing," and then only to realize like 6 months later, like, oh, so many people already do this. But it was like just like me trying out different techniques on my own, and then I found out that there was like an online presence for it. My social media originally started as just me shit talking in politics. And then I started seeing more and more Warhammer content on X. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, if people are interested in this, I already have a bit of a backlog. And at the time, I was not very good. I was pre-approved for that Bad Painters Club, and I didn't know anything about taking photos. I didn't know anything about how to display your models or anything like that. So a lot of my, like, if you go back into my Instagram, go to like my earlier stuff, it's pretty, again, bad. I have no other way to say it. But I mean, a lot of it has really just been just like seeing what other people are doing and how they're taking their photos and trying to assess it. So one of the things that I learned in art school was a lot of the like how to look at an artwork and understand the technique and the breakdown of how to mimic it. So, whether it's like a blending technique, or how did they do, this, make it look like fake metal, or how to do these different effects. The breakdown of it is something that I've picked up on how to teach myself how to do that.
Right. Well,
And
I remember you just passed 1,000 followers on X, and I just checked now, and you're already past 1,300. So it's
yeah,
you seem to be reaching critical mass.
Making them
I'm hoping so.
gains.
I mean, it was a big help. I got shared by the what's his name there, Lorgar, the meme account there has like 35,000 followers, so that definitely helped. It wasn't all just like me posting organically. Like he shared it, and it was pretty effective. I got something like 400 followers in 24 hours or 300 followers in 24 hours. It was pretty crazy. I was telling my wife about it, and I'm like, "Look how cool I am," and she's just laughing at me.
Yeah, well, it's crazy to me. I know a lot of very talented mini painters, and a lot of their accounts are very small. And I think that the main problem with that is this has something to do with the way that X decides what posts you're going to see. But like, there's a guy. Let's say he has only 50 followers, but he posts God tier minis, and nobody knows because he only posts, like, he posts when he completes a model.
Right.
But and then if you don't have premium, you don't get that little extra boost, which is not required, but it's a little helpful. And you need to post consistently, so it's okay to repost old photos of models. You know what I mean? Because maybe it didn't bang this time, but maybe the next time it will. So
Well, and
that's
I've actually I think you mentioned that at one point in the group chat, and I was like, "That's a good idea." So I've just been going back every once in a while, and then just I'll undo the repost and then repost it again just to put it like back into the feed. And it hasn't been huge, but there's definitely a noticeable difference for the extra couple of views or a couple of extra comments. That extra engagement is what's really going to help.
Meme accounts get this because they recycle. So like, I'll post a meme today, and then I'll post it again in 3 months. Well, maybe this
Yeah,
time today, it gets crickets, but in 3 months, boom, you're looking at 10,000 likes. What? It's the same
right.
thing, but for whatever reason that got pushed out to people. So that's something all the mini painters need
Yes.
to do.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong about that at all. I really think that there is something to be said about reusing because again, it's your hard work. Why not try to put it out in front of as many people as you can, right? Like if you're trying to sell a product, you're not just going to put it in front of 3 people. You're going to put it in front of as many people as you can, as many times as you can.
Right. There's no shame in that. And in fact,
No,
it's
no
highly
shame in that at
recommended.
all.
Um, I want to talk to you about your painting technique. So every time I see one of your models, I say, "Oh, that's Davey's," because you have this vibrant technique. It's a lot of warm colors, oranges and reds and yellows and stuff. Even the wife, she goes, "Oh, that must have been Davey model." I'm like, "That's right."
Well,
Anyway,
that's
so
good to
how'd
hear.
you get
That's
that
good to hear that it's
technique?
recognized. So the technique, when I was in art school, I had an art teacher who, no matter what you would show him, unless it was like a finished project that you were putting in, anytime you were asking for like a critique, his critique was always the same. It was add more contrast, add more contrast, more contrast, because especially when you're dealing with like a 32 millimeter model, it's so small, right, that a lot of the details are going to get lost. So the way that you're going to build up that attention to the details is by adding kind of a maximized amount of contrast. Now, some mini painters are really good at doing low contrast models, and they look good, they look natural in their own lighting, but from 3 feet away, it's a lot of that detail is lost. You really have to like up close look at that model. But one of the things that I like to do is I'll put my model down on my desk and I'll step back 3 feet just to see like what details are popping out and striking, and then try to figure out where to add more contrast if I want to bring attention to a specific area. And contrast isn't just about painting like the highlights, right? It's not just about brightness. It's also about color. So you want to do things that are going to boost and maximize that contrast. So color contrast is a big way that I do that as well. That's why you see a lot of the bright reds and oranges that I use, is because the eye is often attracted to those colors because they're more of like a danger sense, right? You should stay away from the red berries on the bushes, fire. All these things are dangerous, so your eye is kind of drawn to it. So that's why I use a lot of those. They're also like my favorite color as a 35-year-old man talking about colors. So I use them a lot, but the color contrast is really important. So like I do a lot of orange. Like I'm doing my Dark Angels models, which are like a bone white with orange trim. But then all of the weapons are going to be like plasma coil blue because of that color contrast.
Right. People often ask me, you've seen my bright blue Space Marines. People are like, oh, I really like the retro look, or oh, why are they so bright? I'm like, because my eyes suck and I can't see them. That's why. So, as far as
Exactly.
doing like bright colors, something that's going to get noticed, that's very important for me. I know some people like the grim dark or the gritty look, but I think one of the main not one of the main ways, but one of the primary ways that people can improve is by paying attention to color palette. Like grays and browns and blacks. Maybe they might be realistic, I guess, for some things, but as far as for visual appeal, that's not always the best idea, in my opinion.
So I completely agree. So when I was in school, I was obsessed with buying like art books for how to paint, and one of them that really got to me was it's called Color and Light by James Gurney, and it really talks about how to paint that color and light that you see. And I think even Golem, I think you kind of touched on this on one of your recent videos when you were doing the what was it, the Emperor's Champion? You were like talking about how to paint, like it was the black armor, but you weren't painting black. You were painting how to see the light on the armor. And I feel like a lot of videos don't touch on that because you're not just trying to paint color, you're trying to paint the way the light is interacting with whatever object you're trying to display. Right. So that's a good book if anyone's interested in it. I have no affiliate links or anything, or I'm not affiliated with them. I just really love that book. And that gives you a great way to see how to paint color and light and how to observe the world around you to paint that color and light.
And what did you say that book
Yeah,
was?
it's called Color and Light by James Gurney. I don't know if you guys ever there was an old TV show called Dinotopia back in like the 80s and 90s.
Yes, I have the book series on my bookshelf
That's
right
Nerd.
now.
okay. So James Gurney is the guy who created that series. And he does a lot of like National Geographic's dinosaur stuff, but the whole series is just like really beautiful scenic artwork with like humans and dinosaurs coexisting. It's a great series.
Very cool. I'm just looking at my outline here. Okay, so Davey also takes commissions. I'm just curious. Are there any commissions that this is open to Josh as well, any commissions that you guys regret taking?
Regret is a strong word because I always just have fun in general painting the models. I've regretted interactions with customers. I've only had one customer where I painted a model and he was like, well, this is not what we talked about. Even though like I had all of our text messages and I'm like, this is exactly what we talked about. But their attitude was very confrontational when I was, doing a project for them. And it wasn't like a huge price range. Like it wasn't like a massive cost for the model. So I was like, okay, like if you're not happy with it, I could try to redo it. And he was very like not happy about it. He's like, no, just give it back to me, and we're done. He paid me, and I never heard from him again. It was even before I started doing like social media posts.
Was it Tao?
So I mean, now it was not Tao. It was a chaos.
Okay.
Yeah, which now looking back, it's very possible. It wasn't a very good or well painted model. Like looking back in my own mind, I'm like, was it bad? Like it's possible, but I don't know. I don't know. I haven't spoken to him since, and so I regretted the interaction less so much the job itself.
Okay, so I have your approval then to come at you with 300 corn berserkers with full trim.
Yes, the difference is that I've adjusted my prices, so you're just going to pay for it. That's totally cool.
Okay, but
That's totally cool.
I should
I'm
get Inner
happy.
Circle retard discount code though.
Yeah, you get the 10% off for every friend you refer.
Okay, all right, we're going to game the system.
There you go.
We're gonna really New Delhi this system.
Yeah, well, so one of the ways that I started doing commissions, because I was doing it more, like the majority of it was like I have a friend who wanted me to paint a model, so I would do a model for them. And then one day I met through, you have kids, you meet parents of kids. And so my buddy Tom, he runs the First Turn Tactics, a YouTube channel, where it talks about like tactics and how to play the game and different tips like that. And we were hanging out at this birthday party for a 6-year-old or a 5-year-old. And one of the other dads comes up and starts talking, and he's kind of nervous and stuff. And then me and Tom start talking about Warhammer, and he's like, "You guys play Warhammer too?" And it turns out he goes to one of our local game shops and plays like 2-3 times a week. So I did a bunch of boys for him. I posted, even Artist Empire had done a paint over for them, and it was a lot of fun. And once I did that, he showed those off to a bunch of guys at the local game shop. And that's how a lot of these commissions that I've been doing lately have started rolling. He's been a little bit of a shout out guy. What's the word I'm looking for? Just like a positive voice to be like, "Hey, do you need minis painted?" And because a lot of the time it's like he's going to these game stores and he's seeing like people playing these big armies and nothing's painted, right? It's just a bunch of gray plastic. And I don't live in like a well-off area or anything, but if you're playing Warhammer, more times than not, the disposable income is a little bit more than, people who play some other hobbies, because it's not exactly a cheap hobby.
No.
So he's gotten me quite a few jobs so far, and so for him, I do a little bit of a discounted rate. I just did his Gazgul for him. It's the one I did recently, that yellow and blue one, and he's using that as a little bit of like a prop piece to like, "Hey, go check out this guy's work. Give him your commissions. He'll do them quick." So different things like that. So a lot of it is like on the ground work and working with local game shops. I've been putting, I've got a little flyer with a QR code and a couple of them next to their Warhammer stuff. So it's like, "Hey, do you want this painted for you? Check out the website, check out the social media and all of that."
All right. I do enjoy First Turn Tactics. I noticed you guys hadn't had a game together for a while. I assumed you were busy, but
Well, yeah, he does computer graphics for movies as like his full-time job. And so we live in Montreal, which was a huge area for movie development industry. And then they changed our tax base, like how the taxes are working for that. And a bunch of companies were like, "Fuck you, we're gone." And so it's been harder for him to find work. So he's been traveling back and forth from Vancouver for work, which is the other side of the country. So we've had these big gaps. We actually got together last night for a game, and we did some small recordings so he can do his shorts while he's there. So more of that's going to be coming out, and that's he beat my ass so bad last night. It was not even like I had the cooler models, yet he
it
destroyed.
was the curse of the newly painted models.
Yeah, exactly.
I just dropped a link to his YouTube channel in the comments.
Oh, cool! Thank you so much for that. Yeah, one of the things that I tell people as a little bit of a joke whenever I deliver my commissions is I tell them the one rule that I have for your model is you're not allowed to lose your first game with it. So far, one person has successfully won the first game with their new model, and it wasn't the corn models that I had painted, which made me sad because that army was so much fun to do.
Omni says, "Davey, when you gonna mail me some fresh syrup?"
Well, I'm in Florida in December. It'd probably be cheaper if I fly it to Florida and then ship it from Fort Lauderdale up to you, Omni. So, maybe I can totally send some your way.
Very cool. All right.
I wonder if can I do carry on with syrup?
I know that for Germany, things are a little weird on what you're allowed to fly with, so I would check customs.
I think I will. If it's in a sealed can, I think it should be fine.
If it's not in your carry-on, if it's in your check, they might let it go. They let you bring liquor.
Yeah,
they might. It depends. There's some crazy rules. Worst case scenario, someone's getting some syrup in a shampoo bottle.
Weirder things have been
Why
found.
Smuggle it.
Why does Canadian syrup taste like Irish Spring? What the heck?
All right. I think. Oh my God.
Taco actually had a question directed toward Josh Foxy. He wants advice for painting bases.
I don't know who that could be directed at.
So for your base, the way I always do it is I always put down my main sand and rocks first, glue those down, then prime over top of it. That's going to lock all that stuff in so you're not constantly having stuff fall off your base. And then paint your model. When you're done, pick whatever color you want that ground cover to be and dry brush it on. Make sure you get a little bit of it on their feet. Your model should never have, if he's like in like real dusty or rocky terrain, he should have dirt on his feet, boots, whatever. So get a little bit of that up on there. Then hit it with a wash and then put your tufts on. And then that's pretty much it, bud.
I need to get me some pigment. I don't have any of that. So like all my models have like pristine boots.
You can either do pigment powder from AK Interactive sells a bunch of it and a bunch of other companies, or you can just take regular acrylic paint, whatever color you want it to be, and just put it on a dry brush and get it like really light, like dust it off on a paper towel beforehand, and then just go to town, and it will mimic the same appearance as pigment powder.
I'm gonna have to get serious about dirtying up the feet.
Sorry, did you say acrylic paint?
That's what he said.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, Foxy.
That's what all my bases are. They're all just acrylic paint. That's it.
I've done it with like pastel bricks, and then you just like spray a varnish on it to seal it in. But doing it with dried acrylic, because I have all the acrylics around me, I could just dry some out. That's not a bad idea at all.
Well, I don't even dry them out. I put it down on my palette like it's like regular paint, and then make sure my dry brush is a little damp. It's not completely dry, and then I just dip it in there, take a paper towel, get almost all of it out of the dry brush, and then I just go to town. And so far it's been working. The only downside is if you leave too much on, you're gonna get like an overbrush effect. So you got to be real careful.
Right. Sorry, my brain is now thinking of technique.
Right.
Brain.
Yeah.
Man, this we're an hour and 15 we've been in here. I don't want to keep you guys for too long. Does anybody have any questions for Golem, Davey, or Foxy? You guys can put them in the replies. I want to get into what I had wanted to get into earlier, but I don't want to take up too much time. As far as algorithm and platform, for X, the algo changes every couple of weeks. Every time I think I get it nailed down, something else changes. So anyway, if you want to grow your account, I do recommend getting premium, the basic one. I do the $8 one, but just forewarning, X has the worst customer support I have ever seen of any business. If you have any kind of problem, good luck getting in touch with somebody who's useful. I had an issue with Space Shark 24. That account had premium, but when that account got suspended, well, the premium for that account's also gone. So you literally have to make a new account, get premium on that one to raise issues about the other account. You can get throttled without them telling you. So, but if you're just posting art stuff and models, you won't have an issue. But let's say you have a comment that gets flagged and your reach gets suppressed, they won't tell you. So this is where using Grok to analyze your account, this is where it comes in useful. So there's a feature that people were talking about a few months ago. It's called let me get exactly what it's called. This was very controversial when it came out. It's called let me get exactly what it's called. The Semantic Contextual Scoring OHIV3. So this is, I don't know what you would call it. It's a way that the algorithm rates your account based on your interactions. You guys hear me? Okay.
Yes.
You're enraptured. All right,
We're
so
enthralled.
you can get in trouble for really silly things that will throttle your reach. So currently, my account has a 0.95, which is pretty straight. So then you would get an algo boost. This thing says of 0 to plus 15%. However, you can do things that will throttle your reach, and it won't notify you. And I remember they said they had X people saying that this was not official. This was, Grok's estimate. Space Shark 24 was throttled by like 60 to 80%, and it was noticeable. And then I come back over to Space Shark 23, and I'm like, oh my God, I had a post get 2 million views in one day. And I had another post reach 2 million views. So when you're not throttled versus when you are throttled, it's very noticeable. And so I've just been studying this for the last 3 weeks or so. Dirty jokes, even like coded language. For example, there's a post about dark elf women. Okay, and I said, is the hoo-ha bubblegum pink or is it licorice black? And it flagged hoo-ha. It flagged hoo-ha as problematic, and I had to edit the post. But another one. Again, this was another. I think this was the same thread. We're talking about Dark Eldar, and I said I do like the darkies, and then it said that's a racist term, so it flagged it. So I was like, oh God, you're gonna make me delete this too. So. But that dropped my confidence from 0.95 down to 0.83, which was that was throttling my reach by like 10%. So I recommend if you're targeting growth, Grok premium may be useful. You just got to decide. But having access to Grok to analyze your account for you like that is useful. It can also help you get like a posting schedule for maximum, I guess, reach. Anyway, this is something I check on it every day because I want to make sure I don't get in trouble for something silly. Another thing is comments, replying to people. Short replies will actually punish you with this current algo update. So somebody says, "Oh wow, I really like your models," and you just reply, "Thanks," and you do that 10 times in a day, then the algo flags you as a low effort poster, and then will throttle you. So also talking about being throttled or any kind of algo suppression will also get you limited. So it's things that you need to consider. If you have any questions about stuff like that, shoot me a message. I try to stay on top of this so I don't get into too much trouble. And
It's
I was just going to
Go
say,
ahead.
since we're trying real hard to get affiliates and such, we're trying our best to behave and not getting into too much shenanigans. So anyway, if you want to have an account for shit flinging and stuff, I think it's probably better to have a separate one if you're just trying to be serious.
It's also important to know that with the introduction of a lot of different AI technologies for monitoring, we've seen it already on Discord, but a lot of other platforms are using very similar programs. It's no longer just flagging specific words. It's getting better, and it makes a lot of errors too, because it's beginning to try to decipher context of what you're saying. Like we have Creed, I think, was talking about how he's been getting dinged nonstop talking about food, and not even in like a weird way, like talking about food on Twitter. And it's things like AI mods that are trying to contextualize what you mean and completely missing the mark. And we're going to see more of that.
Look here,
unroll
Jack.
through
$400 billion
multiple
more for
platforms.
AI so it can misunderstand a dark elf conversation.
Yeah, or misunderstand somebody talking about a steak, which is exactly what happened to Creed.
Okay, I want to see a screenshot of that post. All right. Does anybody have any questions or comments about algo or anything else that we talked about? Well, not many people can talk. We don't have any requests for talking, I don't think. Okay, so you guys got time to get those questions in. Just to wrap it up, this is a reminder. We have the Black Star Kit Bashing Contest, which is going to be in May. Again, if you're not familiar, Black Star is my own original sci-fi setting. We're doing lore drops in every issue of White Shark. The first issue had the Holy Terran Empire, which and different military formations as like a general overview. Second post had a detailed breakdown of the Crusader Knights, and the third one had a timeline, I believe. Time's gone by fast. Anyway, so we're working on a short story for the next one, and if you need bits, our sponsor Schwartzreiter Mini Forge, he has a bunch of Black Templar third-party bits and various things like that you can order from him. We have the 10% coupon code, and I have a referral link, which I'll be posting later today. So if you needed bits, he's your dude. And final thoughts and shout-outs. I think I've given all our shout-outs because everybody's here. But anyway, does anybody have anything else to add?
Nothing to add, but I just want to say I appreciate everybody for being here in this space and giving us time to talk about this fun hobby that we're doing, and I hope that we can continue to do it together in the future.
Very cool. Well, I appreciate everybody coming. I know taking some time out of your Easter weekend to come and talk to a couple of retards might not always be popular with the wives, but I hope to do it maybe like a once a month thing. Podcast would be cool. But anyway, if nobody's got anything else, I will let y'all go. All right.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, guys. Thank you so much for having me. Shout out to the other two panelists. Foxy, I love you. You're great. Golem, your videos are awesome. I love your 8-bit My Chemical Romance and Reliant K references. That's probably my favorite thing.
They're gonna keep coming.
Good. Do you mind if I ask where are you getting those from?
It's literally ripped off of YouTube a lot of the time. So
Okay.
By the way, if you're planning on being monetized, anybody, don't do that, because those are likely going to be unmonetized once YouTube decides to take notice of that. Like, hey, that tune sounds a little familiar. That kind of thing. But
I love the risk that you're taking, because I found those extremely enjoyable while listening to your shorts.
Yeah, if you like 8-bit stuff, there's also other ways to get 8-bit stuff. But I'm essentially just searching 8-bit version of my high school playlist, going down from most played to least played.
That's hilarious. I love it.
Yep.
I love it. All right, well, I'm going to go put the kids to bed. I really appreciate you hosting this all, Sharky and Minka, and I hope you guys have yourself a great Easter weekend.
Yeah, love you, big dog. Hope everybody has a blessed Easter tomorrow, and we'll see you out there.
All right, sounds good.
Bye, everybody. Happy Easter.
Oh my goodness. Are you blowing raspberries on
No.
a child?
Bye, y'all.
I'm too sexy for my shark, too sexy for my shark, so sexy it hurts.